Stop and pause right here, because this moment is not random. Your attention landed here due to a deeper movement already unfolding in your life, one most people miss as they rush past signs without awareness. I am Shi Heng Yi, and today you are encountering a rare opening, a precise moment where understanding can shift everything. This message is not built on luck or endless effort. It reveals how unseen forces respond when the mind becomes calm and the inner world aligns. Money, opportunity, and sudden breakthroughs follow laws that remain hidden to those who constantly chase. They push harder, yet overlook the quiet doorway already open before them. By remaining until the end of this video, you will learn why moments like this appear only once, why forcing outcomes creates resistance, and how ancient Shaolin wisdom explains abundance arriving from directions no one expects. These teachings were never meant for noise or distraction. They function only when the listener becomes still, attentive, and receptive. Many search endlessly for answers, yet few recognize truth when it arrives softly. This message reached you because inner resistance is dissolving and alignment is forming, and that shift changes the flow of everything. Listen closely, not with urgency, but with calm presence. As this unfolds, subtle changes begin internally before shaping the outer world, and this is the true origin of transformation. Welcome to Shaolin Divine Flow, a space dedicated to discipline, clarity, and the hidden mechanics of inner and outer wealth. Subscribe to this channel to stay connected to guidance that moves without force and reveals without noise, and remain present, because this message continues for a reason. Listen carefully, because this message does not circle back. It does not repeat itself when ignored, and it does not wait for hesitation to fade. Moments like this appear once, at the exact point where timing and readiness intersect. When they pass, the world keeps moving, but alignment quietly shifts away. Many never realize they stood at the doorway until they feel the distance later. This is how alignment works. It does not announce itself loudly. It arrives without pressure, without noise, and without force. It asks for presence, not effort. When the mind is scattered, the moment slips through unnoticed. When attention is divided, the signal weakens. This is why most people feel close to breakthrough yet never step into it. They sense something important, but they do not stay long enough to receive it. There are seasons in life where everything depends on recognition. Not recognition from others, but recognition within. This is one of those seasons. When alignment appears, it invites a choice, even when no decision feels visible. Listening is the choice. Staying open is the choice. Allowing stillness to replace urgency is the choice. Missing this moment does not bring punishment, but it brings delay, and delay reshapes paths in subtle ways. Ancient wisdom teaches that doors do not stay open forever, not because life is cruel, but because growth demands awareness. Alignment comes when inner resistance softens, when the constant need to control relaxes, and when trust replaces tension. That state cannot be forced. It can only be recognized when it arrives. Right now, something rare is unfolding, not outside of you, but within your awareness. The more you try to grasp it, the more it slips away. The more you remain present, the clearer it becomes. This is not coincidence. This is timing revealing itself, quietly asking whether you are here to receive or ready to move on. Slow down now. Let the breath settle without forcing it. Stillness is not emptiness. It is a state of readiness. When the mind stops running ahead, something else steps forward. Money does not respond to panic or pressure. It moves toward clarity, toward calm, toward a space that is open enough to receive without grabbing. Chasing creates noise. Noise scatters energy. A restless mind sends one message after another, all competing, all desperate for control. In that state, nothing stays long enough to take form. This is why effort without alignment feels exhausting and unproductive. The more one tries to force results, the more resistance quietly builds. Receiving is different. Receiving begins when urgency loosens its grip. It begins when the mind stops calculating every outcome and starts trusting the moment it is in. Stillness does not mean inaction, it means presence. And presence is powerful. In presence, awareness sharpens. Signals become clearer. Opportunities no longer need to announce themselves loudly because you are attentive enough to notice them. Money often arrives through channels that logic alone cannot predict. A conversation, a delay that becomes a redirection, a thought that feels simple but changes direction entirely. These openings appear when the inner world is calm. When the mind is quiet, intuition rises. When intuition rises, movement becomes effortless. Most people believe they must chase abundance to prove they want it. In truth, abundance responds to those who stop proving and start allowing. Tension repels, ease invites. This is not belief, it is observation. Nature grows without strain. Water flows without force. The same law applies here. As the mind settles, a subtle shift occurs. The need to control fades. The fear of missing out dissolves. In that space, alignment strengthens. You are no longer pushing against life. You are moving with it. And when movement becomes fluid, things begin to find you. Quietly, naturally, exactly when they are meant to. Notice how fear speaks quietly, but constantly. It does not shout. It whispers urgency into every thought. It tightens the body. It shortens the breath. When fear leads, every action carries tension. And that tension sends a clear signal outward. It says lack is expected. It says loss is near. Abundance does not move toward that signal. It moves away from it. Desperation feels similar but heavier. It comes from believing there is not enough time, not enough opportunity, not enough support. Desperation pushes the mind into survival mode, where every decision is rushed and every outcome feels life or death. In that state, clarity disappears. Opportunities pass unnoticed because the mind is too busy clinging to one narrow outcome. Money does not flow through clenched hands. It flows where there is space. Doubt works even more subtly. It dresses itself as realism. It says protection is wisdom. It questions every opening before it has time to unfold. Doubt interrupts alignment at the moment it begins. The inner voice hesitates, second guesses, delays, and alignment requires timing. When timing is missed, the path reshapes itself without warning. These three forces rarely appear alone. Fear fuels desperation. Desperation strengthens doubt. Together, they form a quiet barrier that keeps abundance at a distance while effort increases. This is why some work endlessly yet feel stuck, while others move gently and receive unexpectedly. Abundance responds to trust. Not blind trust, but grounded trust. The kind that comes from calm awareness. When fear loosens, the body relaxes. When desperation fades, perception widens. When doubt softens, intuition speaks clearly. In that state, actions become precise. Instead of frantic, choices align naturally. The world responds differently. Nothing external needs to change first. The shift begins internally. As fear releases its grip, space returns. As space returns, flow becomes possible. And when flow begins, abundance no longer feels distant. It feels inevitable, moving quietly toward the place where resistance has finally dissolved. Money is often misunderstood because it is seen only as paper, numbers, or symbols on a screen. In truth, money is movement. It flows, pauses, redirects, and accelerates based on conditions that are mostly invisible. Like water, it responds to the shape of the space it enters. When the inner space is tight, fearful, or conflicted, movement slows. When the space is open and prepared, movement increases naturally. Belief shapes this movement. Not spoken belief, but lived belief. The quiet assumptions carried every day about worth, timing, and possibility. These assumptions act like signals. They inform where money can go and where it cannot stay. Readiness is not wanting more. Readiness is being stable enough to hold what arrives without panic, guilt, or sabotage. Money moves toward clarity. It avoids confusion. When intentions are scattered, money scatters too. When direction is steady, money recognizes a place to land. This is why sudden opportunities often appear after internal decisions are made, long before external changes occur. The decision aligns the energy. The movement follows. Think of money as a current rather than a possession. You do not own a current. You align with it. You position yourself where it passes. Belief determines that position. Readiness keeps you there. This is not theory. It is observable in every area of life where flow replaces force. When people cling tightly to money, fearing its loss, they interrupt its movement. When people reject money out of guilt or unworthiness, they block its entry. Flow requires balance, allowing money to come, allowing it to move on when needed, trusting that movement continues. As belief becomes calmer and readiness strengthens, money responds. It does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it enters quietly through timing, connection, or redirection. The form changes, but the movement is consistent. Where belief is stable and readiness is present, energy gathers, and where energy gathers, material results follow, naturally and without strain. Breakthroughs rarely arrive through the paths the mind predicts. The expected route is usually the most crowded, the most controlled, and the most limited. When the mind fixes on a single source, it unknowingly blocks every other opening. This is why real change often feels sudden. It appears from a direction that was never being watched. This is the nature of the out-of-nowhere moment. It does not come from desperation. It comes from alignment. When inner resistance dissolves, life gains room to move creatively. Opportunities surface through conversations that were not planned, delays that turn into redirections, and endings that quietly create space for something larger. The mind prefers certainty. It wants to know where help will come from and when it will arrive. But certainty belongs to control, not flow. Breakthroughs require flexibility. They require the willingness to release narrow expectations and remain open to unfamiliar forms of support. Many people miss their turning point because it does not match the image they were waiting for. They dismiss it as coincidence. They underestimate it. They hesitate because it feels too simple or too unexpected. Yet the greatest shifts often begin this way, quietly, without drama. When alignment is present, life rearranges itself. People appear at the right time. Information surfaces effortlessly. A single choice changes direction entirely. None of this can be forced. It unfolds when the internal state invites movement rather than resists it. This principle explains why effort alone cannot guarantee results. You can push endlessly on a closed door and exhaust yourself, or you can step aside and notice another door already opening nearby. The second requires awareness, not strength. When you stop demanding specific outcomes, possibility expands. When you stop insisting on familiar paths, new channels activate. Breakthroughs do not arrive according to plan. They arrive according to readiness, and readiness allows the unexpected to become the very thing that changes everything. Struggle often feels endless while it is happening. Days blur together. Effort repeats itself with little visible return. This creates the belief that nothing is changing. Yet beneath the surface, pressure is doing its work. Just as the earth shifts long before a spring breaks through, hardship reshapes awareness before results appear. Long struggle refines perception. It strips away illusions. It forces clarity about what no longer works. During these periods, patience is built quietly, even when frustration is loud. Strength forms invisibly. Values realign. This internal restructuring is rarely recognized, but it is essential. Without it, sudden gains would collapse just as quickly as they arrive. This is why struggle can end abruptly. Not because effort finally reaches a magical number, but because readiness completes itself. When the inner structure becomes stable enough, movement accelerates. What once felt blocked loosens without warning. What felt heavy lifts suddenly. The shift feels shocking only because the preparation was hidden. Many financial breakthroughs happen after people stop fighting reality and start understanding it. The moment resistance fades, energy releases. Life no longer pushes back. Paths that seemed closed open effortlessly. Help arrives without explanation. Timing aligns in ways that logic alone cannot explain. This is not reward or punishment. It is balance restoring itself. Struggle teaches discernment. It teaches when to persist and when to release. Once that lesson integrates, force is no longer required. Flow takes over. Those who endure long hardship often develop the calm necessary to handle sudden change. They do not panic when money appears. They do not cling desperately. They recognize movement and allow it to continue. This steadiness keeps the shift alive. The end of struggle rarely announces itself. It arrives quietly, disguised as a small opening, a subtle change, or an unexpected ease. Those who are prepared notice it immediately. They do not question why now. They simply move with it. And in that movement, the weight of the past dissolves faster than it ever built. Many people ask for abundance, for money, for change, yet the very act of receiving feels uncomfortable. They pray, speak, hope, and yet deep inside there is resistance they rarely notice. It is subtle, a belief that they are not worthy, that they do not deserve, that accepting help somehow diminishes their effort. This resistance blocks the flow before it even begins. It is not conscious. It is a quiet refusal woven into thoughts, habits, and expectations. This moment is different. It dissolves that hidden barrier. Simply listening, simply allowing, begins to loosen the grip of inner doubt. There is no need to fight it, no need to push harder than before. Resistance melts when attention shifts from scarcity to presence, from lack to openness. This is why moments like these are rare. They arrive exactly when the mind is ready to release old limitations. The energy of abundance responds to readiness. When fear and doubt are softened, the doors open naturally. Money, opportunities, and support find their way to those who no longer resist, who no longer reject what is offered. The act of receiving is simple yet profound. It is a permission slip for life to deliver what has already been waiting, quietly, patiently for acknowledgement. Many struggle not because the universe refuses them, but because they refuse themselves. This moment removes that refusal. It aligns belief with readiness, inner acceptance with external flow. Listening, staying present, and letting go of mental resistance is enough. That small shift inside ripples outward. Patterns that once repelled abundance begin to attract it instead. Receiving does not demand arrogance or entitlement. It demands awareness, trust, and the courage to allow. When this alignment occurs, money does not feel forced. It does not arrive as a puzzle to solve. It moves naturally toward the space prepared for it, filling what was once blocked and transforming limitation into movement, scarcity into flow. This is not about working harder. Pushing, forcing, or exhausting yourself will never create the sudden shifts you seek. Effort alone cannot open doors that are not ready to move. The world does not respond to struggle. It responds to alignment. Being positioned correctly is the key, and positioning begins within. It begins with awareness, presence, and the quiet readiness to receive without tension. Positioning means understanding where energy flows naturally and placing yourself in that current instead of against it. It is not about controlling every outcome, but about opening your mind and heart to the right timing, the right people, the right moments. When you are positioned correctly, effort becomes effortless. Movement happens as if the universe itself is guiding you. Every step aligns with unseen patterns, and opportunities appear where you were not even looking. Most people fail because they believe success is a product of more work, more struggle, more sacrifice. But abundance does not reward struggle. It rewards alignment. It seeks those who have learned to release resistance, who remain calm in uncertainty, and who trust the rhythm of timing. The right position allows energy to gather around you instead of slipping past unnoticed. Positioning also means letting go of attachment to outcomes. The more rigid your expectations, the less room there is for the unexpected. The more you force results, the more you repel the very flow you are waiting for. When your inner state is stable, receptive, and open, life responds naturally. This is why presence is more powerful than effort. Presence sharpens perception, allows intuition to guide, and signals readiness to the world. It transforms waiting into receiving. When you stop trying to create success and start aligning with the flow that already exists, abundance finds its way to you. It does not need to be earned through strain. It only requires that you be correctly positioned, open, and prepared to move when the opportunity arrives. Right now, just listening is more powerful than any action. Staying present for these moments is not passive, it is an act of trust. It signals to the universe, to life itself, that you are ready, that you are willing to receive without forcing, without questioning, without resistance. Presence becomes a magnet, quietly pulling possibilities that cannot be seen yet toward the space you are creating within. Every minute spent fully attentive, fully aware, strengthens alignment. The mind usually flits from worry to plan to doubt, scattering energy with every thought. But when it pauses, even briefly, a subtle door opens. That door does not appear in the physical world, it appears within. It is the door of readiness, the threshold where timing meets clarity, and movement begins to flow naturally. Listening also cultivates patience without struggle. It teaches the mind to wait without panic, to trust without proof, to know that preparation is happening even when nothing seems to change. Every small moment of presence builds a channel through which abundance can move. That channel is invisible at first, yet its effects are undeniable. It gathers energy, clears blocks, and arranges circumstances in ways that only appear miraculous later. Trust is the key. Not blind faith, but deep, grounded trust that the moment you give your attention to, the moment you remain present for, is already working on your behalf. Every heartbeat, every breath, every quiet thought in these minutes contributes to the alignment that brings unseen opportunities closer. This is why stillness is never wasted. While others chase, scramble, or force results, listening alone shifts probability. It positions you to notice openings that others cannot. It prepares you to receive movement that seems sudden but has been building quietly. And in this silence, in this attentive waiting, the door opens. You only need to stay here, fully present, fully aware, allowing the energy of abundance to begin its work without interference. Take a deep breath and quietly affirm your readiness. There is no need to push, no need to chase, no need to plead. Simply acknowledge that you are open, that you are prepared, and that you will receive what is meant for you in its perfect time. Let trust replace tension, and let presence replace doubt. If this message touched you, give it a like and subscribe to Shaolin Divine Flow to stay connected to guidance that uplifts, aligns, and transforms without force. Remember this: abundance arrives not to those who demand it, but to those who are ready to receive it with calm hearts and clear minds. Stand present, stand aligned. The door has opened, step into it with quiet courage, and let life move through you in ways you never imagined.